Hi guys, welcome to another tactical video. This one's for Sisters of Battle Codex, of course, and this time I'm talking about one of our fast attack choices, and that is the Dominion Squad. Now, we are in a funny kind of position in our codex in that what makes this unit a fast attack choice over a regular battle sister is that it has the scout special rule, and that is it. Seems pretty crazy really compared to other codexes, but what you actually get is an amazing little unit if you really look at what it can do. Now, the strongest thing in its favour is that you can actually take 4 special weapons in this squad, even in a squad of 5. Now, you could beef it out to a squad of 10. Not sure you'd particularly want to, because generally this is a throwaway type of unit. It does a job, a specific job, and then it will probably die, because it's the kind of thing that has to die. So your opponent's going to throw stuff at it. Now, you could invest more points into it because of that, but you know, I think that's better spent on your troops and other units to complement these rather than on this unit itself. But you know, it's a choice. So of course, special weapons wise, we have a choice of 3. We have the Stormbolter, we have the Flamer, and we have the 4 melter guns. Obviously these are melter guns. The multi-melters, basically models I had painted, and because multi-melters aren't that well suited to any other location, I just count them as normal melter guns. So there you go, they are part of the Dominion Squad. Now, why is Scout good? Obviously you get to move before the battle actually starts, so you can move forward that 6 inch on foot. The other benefit, and this is the main benefit really, is that they can outflank. This means they'll come on as reserves from the side of a table, and you know, because they got melter guns, they can kill something. Now obviously if they had flamers, they could kill infantry instead of a tank, or if they had stormbolters, well, you know, it's more support fire, and they're behind enemy lines. So they're a good option for getting line breaker as well. What's crucial about this is that basically they have maneuverability and they have that speed. Now they may arrive later on, but you know, if they're coming in turn 2, then they're probably arriving at about the same time as the rest of your army anyway. And because of that, you know, it's that speed again, and it's crucial in Sisters of Battle. And of course you are getting 4 special weapons exactly where you need them. Now, basically they're the exact same stat line as a normal battle sister. So you can upgrade to Varian Sister Superior for the higher leadership, could be worthwhile. Of course you get 4 special weapons slots instead of just 2. Now the main thing that makes these special is that their Act of Faith gives them ignore cover. Now, in the old codex, it used to give them twin linked instead. That was actually more versatile in many ways, because obviously you whiff your melter shots, so you get more chance of hitting, and on flamers and things you're rerolling to wounds, so it's actually pretty good. Now with ignore cover, obviously it has no effect on flamers, so if you're putting flamers on dominions, basically you're getting it to outflank with 4 flamers in the unit. While that is very effective still, and has its place, I would say it's kind of a wasted option for dominions. It's generally something you can replicate fairly well with battle sisters anyway, and you know, you can get that reroll to wound at least with preferred enemy and that kind of thing. So I think now in the new codex it's not so much worth taking the flamer option. Now, Stormbolters with ignore cover is obviously not brilliant a lot of the time, but if you're going up against something like Tau Pathfinders, Eldar Guardians, or Rangers, or anything like that, that has a really rubbish save and depends on cover, those will do a number on them at range. So, you know, it's a pretty decent anti-infantry weapon, but it's only going to be every now and then that it's going to come into its own. And if you are going the Stormbolter route, I would certainly recommend taking the full squad of 10. But most people are going to take the melter gun route because obviously it affects skimmers in a big way. Ignore cover means that you can shoot a tank behind pretty much anything, and 4 melter guns on it, probably on rear armour if you've outflanked as well, you're going to kill tank, which is good. Now the other major benefit of Dominions is that, of course, Scout is conferred to a dedicated transport. So you can put them in a Rhino, or you could put them in an Immolator, and then you can scout that as well. So that means it can outflank with them. Or, of course, if you have first turn, or you're just feeling bold, you can move that forward up to 12 inches. So what this means is, if you take the multi-melter Immolator, turn 1, assuming you have first turn, you scout forward the 12 inches, and then you move 6 inches and disembark these 6 inches, and then suddenly you have 5 melter guns, one of which is twin linked, 4 of which could ignore cover, within the melter threat range, so it's 2d6 armor pen on whatever vehicle you want. Now there's very little that will survive that, and that is a very good alpha strike. The problem is it's a risk, because of course there is things such as seize the initiative, and there are several ways to modify that, and there are possibly ways you would fail that, and of course you've stranded the unit out on its own in no man's land, and it's probably going to die if it fails, but it's unlikely it would fail. Personally, I prefer to outflank because it removes that level of danger, and also it's another annoying distraction behind the enemy lines that the opponent must deal with, so they're more likely to get a second round of shooting, which can be more beneficial. The other benefit of the Immolator is that it can shoot at a different target, so if you tried the Immolator first to see if it can destroy the tank on its own, then these girls could obviously focus on another nearby tank and take out 2 in one turn, which is brilliant. And it's pretty cheap too, which is good. Now another option that people like is taking the Heavy Flamer Immolator, which of course is twin linked, so you're re-rolling to wound, and using these girls to pop the tank, and then using that to roast the infantry that come out. That can be good, but remember it's a much shorter range, and it can only fire if it moves 6 inches. So at least with the multi-melter version, you can still snap fire after 12 inches, and it's twin linked, so it's not actually that bad a choice. Personally, I prefer the multi-melter Immolator because you get that choice of targets, it can support them if they do fail, and you can fire it on the move. So that's pretty good. Now a Rhino is still a good choice if you can't afford the Immolator, but if we can get the Immolator, this is where you want it. It's the best squad suited for an Immolator in my opinion. Purely because of that maneuverability bonus you get from Scout. So yeah, it's a pretty direct, in-your-face kind of unit. It's obvious where it's going, your opponent knows where it's going, but they're going to have a hard time stopping it. And when combined with the rest of your army, if everything is moving forward, then these girls are going to be an annoyance that have to be dealt with, and they're going to buy the rest of your force's time, and hopefully kill some stuff along the way. Upgrades wise, I wouldn't actually look to upgrade them beyond the basic squad that you see here. Again, if you're thinking of running the Stormbolter variant, then a full squad of 10 would be better. You could take a combi melter on the Sister Superior, but I think that's a bit overkill personally. I just use her to throw a crack grenade instead, and Ignore Cover's crack grenade is still pretty good, especially if you're hitting the rear armour. I should say, any other upgrades on her I wouldn't really take, possibly the Veteran upgrade, because of the Leadership 9, meaning their Act of Faith is more likely to go off. You could take the Simulacrum Imperialis to get 2 Acts of Faith. The problem is this squad usually dies after 1 go, so basically it's kind of a one-shot squad. If it doesn't do it the first time, it's probably not getting a second chance, and you're probably only going to need its Act of Faith once anyway, so I think those 10 points are better spent elsewhere. For instance, you could spend them on a Loudhailer. If you have that on your Immolator, then you can re-roll the test for the Act of Faith, and of course it's a 12-inch bubble, so if you have 2 Dominion squads in the same area, then they can both use that, and you're more likely to get that Act of Faith off. Now that's going to matter more on things when you're fighting things such as Eldar or Tau Devilfish, that kind of thing, any kind of skimmers you need to take out, or things that have cover bonuses, it's going to matter more. Other than that, I don't really think the Act of Faith is that important to warrant the rerolls or anything like that. As I say, they'll probably die pretty quickly, and you know, 4 melter guns against rear armor, cover or not, is generally a bad thing and should do enough. So yeah, that's pretty much it with Dominions. They're very, very good. They're a bit of a no-brainer unit to use, and of course they can be used 2 different major ways, either scouting them forward or outflanking. They are probably my favourite unit in the Codex because they are just so useful for us. They have that speed, which is so valuable. They have the killing power, which is something we can lack in some ways, and of course it's in shooting, so that's a benefit. They have that scare factor for your opponent, and you know, there's very little he can do to stop them from destroying something, so it's good. Now, one of the drawbacks that could happen is that if you did outflank them, they wouldn't show up till later on. There are ways to offset that, of course, like reserve modifiers, that kind of thing. If you are genuinely worried about that, then I would suggest taking a comms relay on some kind of fortification. Personally, I just trust the look of the dice. If your army is balanced and you know you have enough other threats on the table, then it shouldn't matter too much when they come in. Personally, I like to run 2 squads of these in larger games, otherwise at least 1 squad of these in my army. It only really gets into trouble if both squads last until turn 4 until they come in, and it has happened, and I still managed to eke the win, but it was a lot harder. So it can be an issue, but you'd have to be pretty unlucky for both squads not to show up until turn 4. Now the trick to outflanking them, of course, when you're setting up, try and make sure that there's objectives on both board side. You know, so there's an objective on both edges of the board. This means if you royally mess up on the outflank roll and you end up on the side that you didn't want, and it's not near any targets of opportunity, then you know at least they can secure the objective, or they can drive on in their emulator if they have that. But you know, there's something they can do even if they arrive late, and you know they can just take the objective. It's fine. The other benefit, of course, with Ignor's Covenant Melter Guns is that they can deal with tough infantry or monsters that rely on cover. So if there's something in particular that's really causing you havoc, for example a Thunderfire cannon, these girls are perfect for taking out that thing. Why? Because they can outflank, they are very likely to wound the Tech Marine, and of course you won't get any save at all. As soon as you kill that Tech Marine, then you know the cannon's gone, so there you go, bam, done. So those are the kind of targets you want to focus on if you can't get tanks. If you take the Flamers, then obviously you just want to outflank and deal with troops, like especially weak troops sat on objectives. They'll do well, although as I say, that's kind of a waste of a fast attack slot in other ways. There are other ways you could fill that better. So yeah, that's pretty much it with Dominions. Highly recommended. I would say if it's an option between Dominions and other things, I would say try and get the Dominions if you can. 2 squads of these in your army, and that should be plenty of melter right there. Provided you've given them immolators as well, of course. So hopefully this video is useful for you. If you liked it, don't forget to click like, and of course you can comment, and I'll try and get back to you. And if you want to see more tactical videos like this, then subscribe. So thanks for watching, see you next time.